All right, there we go. Hello, John S. Rhodes of the Rhodes Brothers, and today's short talk is all about artificial intelligence and nuclear power, AI and nukes. Of course, this is Greater Wealth Through Mastery, and we're going to walk through some of the most profound pieces and parts of this very interesting handshake between AI and nukes. And it comes down to we need more power. That's what the companies are saying. And they realize that the infrastructure, the grid, is in no shape to take on the power needs, right? So, what technology wants, technology gets. We've got the Magnificent Seven, and we'll see how long that really sticks for how long. Right back a ways, we had the Nifty 50, and if you know what I'm talking about, subscribe to the channel, Nifty 50. In any event, moving on. So we have an example of Microsoft, right? So Microsoft is saying that their data centers, which equates to not just cloud computing, but more importantly these days, the hungry hippo of AI. And what they're doing is they are reaching out ahead of time, trying to bring in nukes. So we have MSFT, Mr. Softy. We've got Microsoft, who is proactively reaching out saying, we need more power and we're going to invest in it. Now, as a result of this, we've got Constellation Energy that is spending $1.6 billion to restart a reactor that's been shut down since 2019. Again, what Mr. Softy wants, Mr. Softy gets, right? So Microsoft is calling the shots. Does this surprise you? These are companies that are so big, they're like nation states. They have so much power, no pun intended, and so much control that if they want nukes, they're going to get nukes. They're going to get what they want one way or another. And if they don't get it immediately or directly, they will grease the skids. They will find a way. They'll do it politically. They'll do it economically. They'll do it with jobs. They'll do it with press releases. You understand, right? Not a conspiracy theory whatsoever. This is directly Microsoft saying we need more power and we're going to work with energy companies to fire up power plants. Oh, let's work with Constellation in some way or another, and we're going to bring this thing back to life after like 5-6 years. Now, another thing is they say, you know what I'm talking about. They're like, hey, by the way, nukes are better than other types of carbon-based fuel, right? So oil, gas, you got obviously natural gas, you've got all kinds, you got the oil companies, right? And it's like, oh, they're dirty. Coal, oh, coal, so dirty. Really? Well, that's true, but that allows them to then say nukes are so much better. Well, why didn't you say that 3, 4, 5 years ago? Interesting, right? Interesting. If you ask me, there's no conspiracy there either. It's just we need more power and nukes seem to make sense. But what they're talking about in terms of their agenda and lining up with those ESG goals, you got it. Nukes are good for the climate. Now, you can agree or disagree. I maybe mostly agree, but there are things there beneath the surface that if you take a look, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And it's like the timing is interesting. Now, another thing that I think is fascinating is if you start to pull at the threads of this, you've got government support already in the way or by the way of tax incentives, and that's coming from recent climate advocates, right? So there are people that are in government saying, yeah, that's right, nukes are good. Nuclear power is very good because that's better for the environment. So you really are already seeing government support financially by way of tax credits and tax implications. Now, you can look into that yourself. You just need to understand and look at this and say, who's really calling the shots? Where is the demand really coming from? Why didn't this happen earlier? Why now? It does make you wonder. Now, one of the things that I did for fun, now this is completely made up, so it's made up. You've got the odds of more nuke power plants coming online or restarting. And when it comes to the possibility of more power plants coming online, just due to demand pressure. Now, I say demand pressure, I'm saying AI demand pressure, but I'm also saying from specific companies that are going to pressure the government, state and local, obviously federal as well, and they will benefit from this in a variety of ways, both the government and the companies. That energy demand alone, because it's real energy demand. I think if you look at the power demands of AI, everyone agrees that it is tremendous. And so there's, let's say, a 90% chance that things will happen as a result of just pure play economics and pure play energy needs, growing energy needs, especially from AI, also, of course, related data centers. And it makes it very likely, just from that alone, 90% chance, I would say, that you're going to start hearing more and more about AI requiring. Look at the language, pay close attention to that. AI requiring, there's a necessity for nuclear power. And hey, it's right over there. We can just turn it back on, number one. And we will probably see some things as well, like if we have the nuke power plants, that also helps us out from a military perspective as well. You can dig into that. That is a rabbit hole in and of itself as well. It's fascinating. Not just the US, by the way. You can look around the world and you will find things that are very interesting about nuke power and sovereignty and what that means in a variety of ways. I'll leave it at that. Okay, next thing is just straight up government support. And the reason I bring that up is that I think that is sort of what's pushing things. About a 70% chance we'll get more nuke power simply because of, or perhaps primarily because of, political pressure, political connections, lobbying efforts, so legal government efforts, regulations changing, becoming more favorable for nuclear power. And again, you've got these companies behind that working, industry, right? Businesses, the behemoths, the juggernauts, working with government to adjust and otherwise shape policy. Now, this could have been done years ago, but guess what? The big companies, the big names like Mr. Softy simply didn't need or want, for a variety of reasons, that nuke power. But now we need it, baby. Okay, and then the last of the three here is public perception and regulatory approval. Let's focus just on the public itself. So I was going to talk about people in general, but let's just focus on public perception. So what we've seen more and more of, now when I say we, I'm saying we, that is based on my research, and I would say the Rhodes brothers as well, keep tabs on different information channels and who's saying what and when, for a whole variety of reasons related to business, not just our business, but business in general, and the ebbs and flows over time of various narratives. Because when you keep track of the narratives in any space that you happen to be in, but especially money, for us being entrepreneurs, small business owners, and so forth, when you look at the news and the news cycle, it's always cyclical, when you look at the ebbs and flows and the movement of information through various social media channels, through traditional media now and then, when you look at the emails that are coming out from certain people and parties, I mean that lots of ways, then what happens is absolutely fascinating, because then you see that, hey, isn't that interesting? It seems like more and more people like the idea of nuclear power for a variety of reasons. Like, yeah, data centers, so we're not going to boil the oceans or ruin the planet. And so the narrative starts to get woven, the tapestry, right, or tapestry gets woven in such a way that people truly, collectively start to believe that this is true. True or not does not matter. That's not my point. My point is that you have the manipulation, I mean that in a very generic, neutral sense, the manipulation of the narrative gives you an idea, like what's the flow here? Do people really believe that? Well, they kind of go along with it. It's fine. That's what matters, is that people go along with the narrative. They push against it a little bit, or they pile on and say, yeah, baby, that's exactly what I've been saying for years. So there's confirmation bias, lots of psychology here, lots of sociology at work here as well, social dynamics. It is truly incredible. And so when we look at AI and nuclear power, it's not so simple. It's not like, oh yeah, it's a great idea, let's just turn these on, and then that's that. You need to look beneath the surface. If you want to understand how to run your business better, if you want to start certain kinds of businesses, if you want to really understand what the zeitgeist is and how it relates to you, you can pick a topic like AI and nuclear power, and you can just keep pulling and you can keep diving, right? Diving into the rabbit holes, pulling at the strings. Call it what you want, but it's really, really effective, very powerful. So there are people that look at things like macroeconomics. So they look at, the M2 money supply and how that relates to the price of Bitcoin. I've done that. It's fascinating. You can look at, Chairman Powell, right? And what the Fed is doing. And that gives you an idea about what's happening with the macro narratives. Well, you can do the same thing with technology. You can do the same thing with AI. You can do the same thing with small business. You can do the same thing with the various tools that you use, the people that you interact with. You can always be doing that. It's like reading the tea leaves. It's incredible, but you have to have an open, rational mind. And that's really what this is all about. We're at the end, and I'm saying this is about open-mindedness and rationality and understanding what the masses are doing and why the masses are doing what they're doing. That's how we learn. Now, we learn and then we translate that into many different types of products. We use that for our copywriting. We use that to know what the right things to piggyback on are, because that's what people are thinking about. Don't try to create a brand new market. Instead, what is everyone talking about? What does everyone want? When I say they all want it and they're all talking about it, again, what is the zeitgeist? And it can be a very, very tiny little worldview, a little tiny slice of the market that you're working in. It could be any of that. But then you have to understand what are the ebbs and flows of information? What are the big ideas? What's everyone talking about, but no one creating products about? What is the problem they're identifying? What's the problem they're creating? And then you can piggyback onto the demand that already exists. People are already hungry in those markets, in those niches. You can jump into those and you can make bank. I bet you didn't think it was going to go this way, but that's exactly where it went. AI and nuke power, maybe it's not all that it appears. What do you think? Does this resonate with your experience? Let me know in the comments below. Also, refer this to someone else, because it is through referrals and word of mouth from people just like you that this channel grows. We appreciate you. And in the next video, I think you will appreciate especially what we've done when it comes to understanding the narrative and how to use it to your benefit and to the benefit of all those around you, and even, yes, humanity. You can do the right thing, positive thing. You'll see in that next video exactly what I mean. It's just below the surface. This is Greater Wealth Through Mastery. On behalf of my brother Matt Rhodes and myself, John Rhodes, we will see you in the next training, the next video. See you then.